Okay.
So I look at that, not you.
Yeah.
So the whole time, just hear you, but don't look at you. You're looking at me.
I can look at you. Actually, I think people do. You can look wherever you want.
So I could just like look off to the side. No, I'll stop. Thanks for having me, Karen.
Thank you for being here. This is Brandon Sobel, my guest today on the Karen Mitches podcast.
One funny bitch. That's so funny.
So I host Funny Bitches with Karen Mitches at your club.
At the club, Backroom Comedy Club. That's what we're gonna do for an hour. We're gonna pitch your show
At your club.
Cool. 814 Bloor Street. Yeah. No,
So I already had Ariel on.
You did.
Yeah.
This is actually long overdue. I got sick.
Yeah.
And then I got sick again, and then today I'm hungover. But I was like, I can't bail again. You know? So I was like, okay, I'm here.
Just a little bit hungover.
Just a little. It's fine. When's this going to be out?
This is going to be out not next week because that's Tamara's episode, and then it will be the one after that.
So it might be October. It might be early November.
Yeah.
See, in October, I drink in October. Not all the time, but if I'm going to have one of those nights, not sober October, Sobel in October. I just got drunk last night.
I like not sober October, except for me, not good, because I'm sober every month.
So you don't drink?
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you don't smoke pot? Do you drink pot?
No.
So you're sober all the time?
I'm sober all the time, but I did buy beer and weed beverages for this show.
I noticed, and that's hilarious. Is that the vibe I give off?
That
I'm one of each?
I was like, I think I was expecting weed beverage if we recorded in the day and then like beer beverage in the evening. Like that's how I would have guessed your vibe.
Nice. So you've never, for any other comic, there was no weed or beverage?
Well, there's been other booze here. I've been changing it up, and I just added the weed drinks because I realized people come here who don't drink but do smoke.
It's all. So you don't drink?
No.
But then you profile the person coming, and you're like, "This is what they drink."
Yeah.
This is awesome. So what if
I'm like,
do you make cocktails?
I was like Jess Goddard, white wine. But she didn't want to drink. She had some tea.
But is she a white wine drinker? This is hilarious.
I forget.
No, but if you're gonna profile the person, you gotta take.
I don't remember this shit.
I definitely want to read your screenplay.
Okay.
I definitely want to read it. Because I don't know what's a character and what's not. And I've seen you get better at stand-up. I'm not going to say good. I'm going to say better at stand-up. And it's like, the more I see it, it's like, oh, there's more to what's going on. And
amazing.
I'm excited. So,
amazing.
Yeah, if you want to trade.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Talking about something before we recorded, just like it was on the recording the whole time.
Okay. Is half the fun of owning the club just like seeing all the weirdos who come through there?
Honestly, the club, the fun part about the club is the stage time.
Yeah.
And then everything else kind of sucks. Not on purpose. It's just like everyone else we work with, I'm an egomaniac as well.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to like, don't get me wrong, now almost 3 years in, it's cool to see talent develop.
Yeah.
It's cool to see people get better. It's cool to see, I'm just rubbing my face while I'm talking. It's cool to see like, I don't know how to word it. I think there's a lot of cool contributing factors, you know? It's cool to see people come from out of town and give us a chance and put on shows like that. It's cool to watch the overall scene. Like, as you know, we don't book people. It's a drop-in system. Like, you can come for a specific night if someone booked, but a regular scheduled show for us is like whoever comes by. And it's just like wild who comes by, and, you know? And it's just like...
You don't know what the vibe is going to be.
Well, we're the vibe. It's
yeah.
like it's on us to be the vibe and then just hopefully create a good time. And it's weird because if you asked me as a kid if I never own a comedy club, be a comedian, like, no, not even a little. So it's weird to be here now.
Yeah. What did you think of comedy when you were a kid?
Well, I don't know. I'm older than most comics, I guess, or not most, but like in this our scene.
Yeah.
You know, I was born in '85, so it's like comedy's always been cool. You know, I didn't really get into like Dave Chappelle, the one before. Dave Chappelle had this like bit about jerking off on a bus, and I don't remember which special it was, but I was in like first year university and a friend showed me.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the best. But I never thought it was like a thing I could do.
Yeah, I remember being
like
in
option.
University when Chappelle was coming out and everyone was obsessed with him. But yeah, I guess people who do sketch stuff, I got that that's a job you could do if you knew how to get into it. I never thought stand up. Like I thought stand up was something like old men did. Like it was for middle-aged men, and I wasn't a man.
I'm hoping it's for middle-aged men.
I never knew I would be middle-aged. So
that's so funny. Did you think? I also didn't think I'd still be here.
I didn't like think I was gonna die. It didn't occur to me like I would.
Your brain's awesome. Did you do like a lot of acid as a kid, or like get thrown off a horse? What's the vibe?
I did do a lot of acid.
Okay, cool. No, because I profile myself, and awesome. Okay.
Did you have an acid phase?
No, but my dad really loved acid.
Oh my god.
So like, and it's just again, I don't know if it's a comedian thing or like a Brandon thing, but I like to, the same way you like to guess people's drinks, I like to guess people's mental illness. and yours, and I'm not trying to show off, I was spot on. We didn't have this talk before. I did it. And again, comedy is for that.
But this is the thing, like, because people always say like comedians are philosophers, and I was always like, I don't know. I think they're mostly complainers. But I am actually shocked at how perceptive some people in the scene are. Like that comment, and then like the other day, Ali Maui.
Oh, he's
goes
brilliant.
To me.
He's the smartest guy I know.
He's so smart.
So smart.
He goes to me, Karen's like me when I'm high. I was like, shut up. Like, but everyone's like, yeah, now that you mention it.
He's honestly brilliant. He's one of those guys. We worked together briefly. Like we opened the club and I had to take some day work.
Yeah.
And I was like a waiter with him for a couple of weeks. And he just like, he is so there. Like, I don't know how to explain it. He's one of those guys that if he just gave it his all, like we all know what would happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's just crazy.
But I don't even, like, beyond being a comic, like he could be a psychic. He could be a therapist.
That's part of the game of stand-up. Like I'm sure you've noticed now that you've done it, like when you started, you're like, it's for middle-aged men. And then you started grinding, and you noticed it was for like a lot of young, kind of daddy issued or mommy issued or both kids, like not still men, but you noticed it was like a younger demographic than you thought. Mm-hmm. And then you started working hard, and more opportunities came, and you're like, oh, there are middle-aged people that do this.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, you do get surprised where we are modern day philosophers. It's just we decide to not talk about real issues. We talk about cum and like, pee. You know, like it's not like we decide. It's not like you've ever seen a comedian be like, well, you do, but it's like there's layers to it. And it's just like, I'm glad you brought up Ali Maui because he's dope. I'm glad you compared one of my comments to his. But like, you know what I'm saying? Where comedy is like the more you grind and the more you see, like the guys at the highest level, those are philosophers, you know?
So where did your foray into comedy start?
I was in a band, and we were doing we either played live or we were just at a house party and just jamming, and both guitarists' strings broke at the same time. And they were like, just fucking do something. And I just was like, just was talking shit and just having fun, but there was music behind me and it was just killing. And then I went to Israel, which is a funny conversation enough right now. But you see my face. This isn't a surprise that I went to but when I went to Israel and I met the people there, I was doing real estate at the time, and they were all like, you should do comedy. Like, you're one of the funniest people I've ever met. Like, I don't know if it was because of the trip or being myself or letting people in, but I was just, and then I got home, and a friend of mine on the trip, his brother was my brother's really good friend. It's just a small world that way. Mm-hmm. And we went to dinner with their family. And at one point I was just like making everyone at the dinner table laugh so hard that the guy's dad was like, hey, I wouldn't say this if you were my own kid, but like, you're not, go make this a thing. You know, like,
yeah.
this is wild. Like, I haven't laughed that hard at a dinner table. Like, you know, it's just like, just go do it.
You just had it.
Well, that's sometimes, like, you've probably seen it, and I'm not going to try to be not modest or modest, but like, I have moments.
Yeah, no, because I have seen you.
Like, the club's hard because I don't get to spend as much time writing and being the technical side of it, but I'm also super lazy. So it's like, there's hours in the day that I could be that I don't. You know, because the trick to writing, like looking at it now, isn't like sitting there and trying to write jokes. You just write like literally anything. And then once you start laughing or crying, you're like, this is funny.
Okay. So I feel like I have like a silly phase in every day. Like it just comes on.
Well, that's why the screenwriting comes, because you get the concept that in any person's day, there's 20 minutes to 40 minutes, a whole week. Every person on this planet has a TV show. If you took their whole week, you're telling me you don't have 40 minutes to like make a show? Everyone on this planet.
For sure. But what I guess I mean is like there's like a moment when my brain is just in its like silly state and I can like come up with jokes, but I could waste it thinking about like a weird hypothetical that can't be translated into a joke. And I have to like realize I'm in this silly state and then like start coming up with something.
It's funny that you call it silly state. Flow state. Okay? For all you like men out there that relate to what Karen's saying, okay? Flow state. But you're right. There's something about just... You ever watch the movie Air?
No.
Okay, so in the movie Air, it's about the Michael Jordan shoe company and the guys behind it. But there's a scene where they basically, one of the big points was someone wanted to give a speech, and instead of reading the speech, it was like the I Have a Dream speech from, you know? And instead of reading it word for word, it was like he just like riffed it off his words, and then someone bought the script, like what his speech was supposed to be. And when they read it, they were like, it wasn't the same at all. And then in the movie, you learn where it's like preparation will get you so far, but once you're like, there's a reason we picked this.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's not like, yeah, we need material on stage to get better. I'm not gonna endorse that you should just go up there and fuck around.
Yeah.
However, if you're on and you're feeling it, and it's like, you know?
Yeah.
Like silly state isn't a bad thing. It's like the most fun ever. The problem is when you were recording your sets and you listen back to it and you're in silly or flow state and you loved it and then you try to recapture it, where it's just like that was a moment in time. That's stand-up. Anyone who was at that show got that pleasure of seeing that moment.
Yeah.
And then unless it was recorded on film, it's gone.
And that's why they say like even the pros who are have far into their career can still bomb.
I'm not on the mic, sorry. Everyone's gonna bomb if you're trying something new or it's like risky or you have an opinion. You know, like like yeah, sometimes I write stuff, or like the very few times I do put things pen to paper and I come in and that first time I tell it, it does well, but it's probably because of how excited I am to tell it. It's probably because of the preparation behind it, where it's like everyone bombs. It's like even if you tell, like if I tell a new joke and it does really, really well that first time, it's not going to do great the second time. That's just the game we play. It's like you have to bomb to get better. And they don't feel any easier. Every time I bomb, I want to quit. You know, like same deal. You know, I don't know if you want to, but like the bombs don't get easier. They just, you learn. It's like everything else in life. You don't fail, you learn. And
I thought my first bomb was the best one because I kind of saw it as like a rite of passage, so I could handle it. And then the second one was horrific because I was like, this is just going to keep happening.
Yeah, and then it's just, but that's the whole thing. It's like anything else in life. Like if it was easy, anyone would do it.
Yeah.
You know, we're the lucky few that are like the jesters, you know, where it's like, okay, we can fail. No one's going to decapitate us. We're allowed to fail. You know, it's not in the King's Day where if they didn't like us, they banished us. We can, that's what I try to encourage our comedy club. Like, I don't want people to come out and be dicks, but like, as long as you're not offensive, not offensive, as long as you're not hateful.
Yeah.
We're cool. Like, I'm not going to cancel you. I'm not going to not put you on my stage. Just don't be hateful.
Okay, but do you ever find like some comedians do really bad crowd work and you want to be like, don't talk to my audience like that?
Well, the problem is that we don't listen to each other. So instead of like, every comic will go up there, and for some reason, if the room's sold out, we'll talk to the same 3 people.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, how long you been a throuple? And they'll all, whatever it is, they'll all say the same thing. And it's like, we all just watched each other. Or like, you know, Mark Hallworth?
Yeah.
He said, he came back and he's a dope dude. And he gave us this, he didn't give us a tip on purpose, but he said when he was doing Fringe, that it said no repeat crowd work. So the comics have to sit in the show, watch the other people, not say the same thing. Because we just look lazy. Yeah. We look lazy if we all ask the same question.
Because I think, like, before I'd ever hosted anything, someone told me, I was asking people for hosting advice, and someone said, like, just to be present and pay attention to the whole show, because then you're, like, with it. And I feel like if you're doing crowd work, it's kind of like you're hosting, so you need to listen.
Well, when you're hosting, you're kind of like you're throwing a dinner party or a party, and it's like even your podcast, you're introducing your friend to your other friends. Yeah. So it's like the whole thing with hosting is you're just that mediator. Even the crowd work is like if it's done right and the comics are listening, you're setting up the other comics that they know the answers they want to come out and fire. Yeah. You know, like it's the problem is that we're in a culture where crowd work's so dope that you see really funny crowd work clips. Yeah. And it's like everyone's chasing that, you know, they don't realize Matt Rife did comedy for fucking 12 years. Yeah. They think it's like, oh, I'm going to get one clip on TikTok. Yeah. Of calling a lady a bitch. And it's like, no, like,
And too much of it is contingent on the audience member being the right kind of person.
Totally.
But I feel like a lot of shows that I go to, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's not like the most insane thing happened, but it was just like, it felt like a group of people were doing something together because the comics and the hosts are talking to the audience, and the audience is a bit of a character in the performance.
sure.
And it's just, it's happening like, oh, that was the time we were all there and all
live.
that funny
Yeah.
shit happened.
It's almost Shakespearean, sure, but like it's live in action where all those people are sharing that moment in time, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, how are you going to pull all those people together? Like for us, it's 55 seats. We're not even that big of a venue, but it's just like to fill our venue, or even if it's not full, all those people at that moment in time with those comics, like,
Yeah.
there's a probability thing to it.
I love actually the size of your club. Like,
Thanks.
it's perfect.
Well, we're a club. Like we've been doing this long enough, and when we got to that point, it's like we don't. Oh, this is gonna sound so douchey, but like I don't like theater comedy. I don't like going to pay a bunch of money to like sit at a screen with like, I'm a little guy. I don't want to get trampled. You know?
Yeah.
I just like don't necessarily love the whole idea of a live comedy show at a venue more than 1,200 people. And
Yeah.
then even still 1,200, 300, it's still intense. 150 is like a good number, but like we get people ready for those venues. You know, look at like Comedy Bar, Corner, Yucks, like those stages. You come to us,
Yeah.
and then from there you're ready to do those bigger venues.
Yeah. Like
Or
I
a
saw
gym.
Nate Bargatze in a big venue, but like, yeah, I have to really like someone that I want to go.
Scotiabank Arena. I saw Russell Peters like 2 years ago on a Wednesday, which blows my mind that he sold just as many tickets in one night on a Wednesday than I need to fill my venue every day the whole year. And he did it, no questions asked. And it was good. It wasn't not a good show.
Yeah.
It's just that like, I'm just watching the screen because he's like this big. And he does the luxury where he has a camera crew showing you the people he's doing crowd work with.
Yeah.
But how much better would that be? Okay, so the first time I ever saw stand-up live, I came to Toronto. I was like 16. I live in Hamilton, like that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
And I came to Toronto to visit some of my friends, and Russell Peters headlined Toronto Yuck Yucks. And
That's
There's like 20
amazing.
people in the room, and it was just like the old Yucks, and it was the best thing.
Oh shit.
I didn't realize
that's
that
crazy.
was that. It was the best.
You don't know what things are sometimes.
It was you knew he was hella talented. You knew it was like the real deal.
Yeah.
But like, man, it was crazy. And then it's just like, so yeah. So to see that, to have that experience versus Scotiabank Arena with 18,000 people, I'm picking the little room.
Yeah, even
know?
music in those venues, the
too
venues are
much.
just too big.
I get it. You have an extremely large fan base. Those
Yeah.
venues are for that. I just don't think certain things translate to that. You know?
Yeah,
Like I think something like Kill Tony would translate hilariously to a stadium, where it's like you're literally picking people out of the fucking stadium. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But like
well, and Jared Nathan did Kill Tony at Madison Square Garden.
she did it at LA Staples Center, I think. Jared's my boy. I should be wearing my
Yeah.
Team Jared right now.
Do you have a Jared t-shirt?
Yeah. I took headshots and I'm wearing a Team Jared t-shirt. It's because we look alike. So I don't wear my glasses anymore because people used to confuse us. So I don't do that anymore, but I'm a big supporter. But it's just crazy that we're that close, you know? Where like a good buddy of mine is like performing at Madison Square Garden. Did you see last week's episode? Or I guess, did you see last month's episode? Andrew Packard murdered it. Like murdered it. His stand-up was great.
On Kill Tony?
On Kill Tony.
I didn't even know he was on.
No, he just showed up. He was like a bucket pull. He just killed his stand-up, killed his interview. Big J. Okerson tried to like shut him down, and he didn't take it. And it was just, it makes you proud to be from here.
Yeah.
And it makes you proud to like, if you see Packer or you see guys like that, like Balshin, and you see guys that like work really hard, and
Yeah.
then they get success, and you're like, yeah, well, good. Like, it just shows you that it's like positive at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
Like, even look at the guys like Ryan Long, JJ, Danny, they came from here, you know? And it's just to see success is like, that's crazy.
It's a comedy town, right?
Well, you would hope so.
But you have to leave.
I don't know. I disagree with that. Instead of going, we were at the point where we were good enough where we can go on tour. And
Yeah.
like, I didn't have a girlfriend at the time, and I don't know, Ariel, whatever his deal, we could have just hopped in a van and we could have gone across the country, and we picked Comedy Club, you know?
And why?
Well, originally we picked it because it was, so we were we were pretty fortunate in the sense that when like COVID was reopening, we were on it. So it's like right after COVID, or you know when they let us outside,
Yeah.
We found an outdoor venue.
You may go outside now.
You may go outside, yeah. So they let us, like, they didn't let us. We did a venue that was a weed smoking venue outside. We sold it out. It was like 125 people.
Nice.
We did it. We sold out again the next month. And then businesses and bars and places started reaching out to us. We had shows 5 days a week, like all over the city. And then when people would ask us when our next show was, it got confusing. Now looking back, I could have been like, where do you live? And I could have told you the closest show to here. But instead it was like, it was overthinking. So we're like, we need a permanent place. And then we just wanted to get better.
Yeah.
You know, like all of our friends or like the people we started with are all dope. Those that are left. And we just wanted to catch up. And now like that was our 3-year plan. And now it like happened faster than we thought. And now it's like, oh shit, this is a real business. And it's like cool, but it's like a lot.
Do you still count the number of sets you've done?
No. But I also like, I'm on stage a lot.
Yeah.
I'm on stage like twice, 5 nights a week. So it's like once you hit 1,200.
Yeah.
Like, I counted for a while, but it's just, it wasn't about counting them. It was about doing. The cool thing about comedy, and I don't know how to explain this because I'm a little fucked up, but like smoked weed before I got here and still hungover. But it's like once you stop caring, once you stop like, I'm not saying stop caring about the sets, but like once you stop like wanting to showcase, or once you stop like, and all you do is you put your head down and it becomes a routine, you know? Like I don't look at it like, oh, how many sets am I going to do this week?
Oh shit.
We out?
Does it sound normal to you?
I don't know. Yeah. I think so.
Okay. I thought I fucked something up.
You got scared?
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying though? It's like instead of like, you still have to go out there and you have to hit the sets as fast as possible. But instead of focusing on hitting the sets as fast as possible, just do the sets. Instead of like, oh, I need to get yucks now. My life's going to change. I need that showcase. Just go and grind. You know, like don't look at it like, oh, like, yeah, it's the accomplishment at the end of the day to like journal or like say how many sets, great. But I'm just saying that you don't, once you stop focusing on the number of sets and just make it a routine. Like I know that I'm at Backroom Wednesday or Thursday, Friday. Like I'm at work from yesterday till Monday, and that's it. Like I'm there doing sets, and like there's no option for no shows. Sure, when we first opened, it was like, okay, no show, cancel the show. But it's like, you see us, like we're pushing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's a show. So I know I'm on stage 10 times a week, and I know I'm doing like anywhere between 10-15 singles to like 10-15 doubles. So I'm doing like, I don't know, 10 times, like 100 minutes. I'm doing like 2 hours a week, including feed time, like feedback, chirping you guys.
Yeah.
You know, like.
I love the feedback.
I love how it's working. Like at first it was a fun excuse to just be like, okay, we don't have a system to watch the new talent. We are trying to be the comedy club that we never had.
Yeah.
We just wanted a show that was like, what is an open mic that isn't an open mic? What would make people feel fulfilled? There's nothing worse than going to an open mic where it's all comics, where they're not even in the fucking room.
Yeah.
How do we change that? You know? Like, don't get me wrong. We did steal from Kill Tony. I'm not trying to not say that.
Yeah.
But our intention is to like, he's hilarious.
Can I just explain for people who don't know? So the comic, this is your Monday night at 10 open
show.
mic.
Yes.
So the comic gets a minute and a half, 90 seconds. You go up, you do your set. Then you hit the feedback button.
If you want.
Feedback.
Because we understand consent and we understand that you have to want the feedback. We don't just give the feedback.
Right.
And then we're ruthless.
And you guys are on stage.
We're ruthless.
And then you'll give
honest feedback.
Yeah.
Now the point of that is not to be dicks, although it's fun. It's to just be like, hey, no one is doing this for you. You know how many years or sets or what you need? Like, no one in comedy except for like your own inner circle, except you're competing against them, but you're not, but blah, 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 is ever giving you feedback. You know? Like, for my first 8 years in comedy, my circle, it's not that they were not my friends. The most feedback I ever got was like, write it like rap lyrics. You wrote rap lyrics, write it like that. And I was like, what? And that's not feedback.
Yeah.
So
write it like, no, but there's this saying that's like, something about how much you can grow is how much like you're willing to like listen to criticism. And I think that's true, right? Like, yeah, you can just know certain things on your own, but performing arts especially, you kind of need
feedback.
Yeah.
You know, you need it. It's one of those things where like, the reason I stopped writing screenplays and the reason I stopped like rapping and stuff. Okay, I stopped rapping because I don't make beats and I don't record.
Yeah.
So it's like if you ever make a beat and you would like to do a feature, I'm just kidding. But you know, it's just a lot of work, right?
But was rapping a big part of your life?
It was more like a fuck around. It was like I joined a band when I got back from Guelph, and then I started working at my dad's store, and I was doing real estate. And at the time, my family owned a bridal store. So I had this whole idea where it was like, you buy your house from me, I'll give you the wedding dress for free.
Oh.
But like my dad wasn't on board per se, and like I don't know.
He didn't like that.
He was on drugs at the time. Like it's a big story of it all.
Oh.
Yeah, we could get into that all if you'd like.
So it wasn't just that he had an acid phase in his youth. Like he was still kind of...
Yeah. So I don't know if Ariel and you ever went this deep, but me and Ariel, I used to think it was the universe, but it's just trauma bonding. We just have a bunch of trauma bonding experiences. So it's like we were both premature. I was 3 pounds 4 ounces. He was less than a pound, which is crazy because like he's 6 foot. And like, it's nuts. The second trauma bonding was we're both Jews from like not Jewish places. He's from like South Africa. I'm from Hamilton.
Yeah.
And then the third was our dads. We're both cokeheads. And like, my dad got through it. He's fucking dope. He's, you
guys are buddies.
But his dad didn't make it. His dad cut it with Viagra, and like you'd have to hear the joke on him. But like, so yeah, we're buddies because like the trauma bonding.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
But it's cool to find someone, and like a group of like-minded people can change the world. Our original podcast was Coke Dads. People thought we were the Coke Dads. It should have been Coke Babies, but it's like they thought we were like gay, had a baby together. And, like, he would powder it, and I would snort Coke off its head. But no, it's a dream to meet people like yourself. So I wasn't running, but I was working at the bridal store. I was helping out with them. My parents were going through their own shit because of his state of mind and where he was at. They kind of separated.
Yeah.
And he had an ultimatum to come, like, to get his family or to pursue his lifestyle. But at that point, I pulled away from the business entirely. But it's just like, from like that moment till my car accident, which was like 2014, I was on painkillers when I like was trying to learn how to walk again. And I was like so gung ho, like, you buy your dress for me, or you buy your house for me, dress for free. And I was like gonna go back to school, which I ended up doing, but like to set up camera crews and make it like a thing, Yeah. I'm glad it didn't work out like that.
Okay, I want to go through this again. So you go to university at Guelph. Then you're working in the bridal store that your family owns.
But I also have my
you're
real estate
selling
license.
real estate, and you're rapping in a band.
Okay, so this is what happened. So like the family shit all went down, and it was just like I kind of realized that I wasn't able to do the buy the house, like all that stuff. And then it was just like I was only like still young, and so the whole idea of being like a real estate, like that wasn't my dream, So I joined this band. At the time, I played trumpet. Mm-hmm. Okay, I can still fuck around. I'm one of those guys where like I can pick up an instrument and fake it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Oh, that's interesting. It feels louder now.
Yeah.
I'm not worried myself. You're good now. Now I hear myself crystal clear. But before, we'll find out.
We'll have to maybe filter that.
I trust you. This is entirely a fun time. In worst case, I'll come back and try to explain this again.
Amazing.
But yeah, so I joined a band, and it was awesome. And then like we recorded the demo.
So you were playing trumpet in the band.
I was playing trumpet, but we would switch instruments. So I could fake it, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
If you put me behind a drum kit, like maybe not anymore, but I can like make it up. I can like find 2 notes on a guitar or on a bass. I'm not saying I'm good. I'm just saying that like I can.
You can just make shit up.
Yes, and my buddies, and over time it was like, hey, if you can find that one note, go over 2 and you can find the other note. And it was like, this was so long ago, but it was just fun, and it was so freeing.
Yeah.
And I was writing screenplays at night because I was kind of losing my mind. And this was before the car accident. And I was just in this band, and we made like a demo at a buddy's house. And my parents were like, this is awesome. Like my parents were like, this is like really good music.
What was your band called?
It was called, originally it was called Stereography.
Stereography.
But then I think he changed it to Dichotomy. And then it got to the point where like he kept doing his band, but it was a lot, man. And then like the screenwriting, it was like, it was fun, but you'll be in a room writing a script, write a joke, and you're like laughing, and you see your reflection, you're like gross. Your house is gross, And it's just like comedy was that perfect.
Because when you write like a screenplay or a novel, you're by yourself. There's no gratification. It's insane.
It's like,
but
I would go to Newfoundland and do it. I would go to like a place like Belle Island, if you've heard of that place. It's like a little island off of Newfoundland.
Yeah.
That's like, I would go do a screenplay there. I would like somewhere I can disappear, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to have your view and fucking write a screenplay and see the world go on. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So with stand-up, you can write a joke or like fuck around and get a laugh.
Yeah. It's like if we wrote a joke right now, we can just go later
Tonight
tonight and
try
find
it.
out if
Yeah.
it's funny and enjoy it.
Well, that's the trick with stand up, and that's the one thing I can't stress enough to people is that if you have fun, it's like that's the trick. You ask anyone who bombs, "Did you have fun?" and they're like, "No." And I'm not saying having fun's easy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if you can have fun on stage, you're gonna have an okay set.
Yeah.
Even if you don't do well, you're gonna enjoy it.
My friend Connie is getting ready. Do you know Connie Wong?
Yes and no.
She's getting ready to like record her special, and she told me because she's a newer comic, so it's harder for her to get stage time. So she told me she goes to old folks' homes so she can do
That's
like
hilarious.
a full hour set.
Good on her.
That's
Damn.
like the smartest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, but you can't gauge how funny you are to a bunch of like, because old folks' homes aren't like. I'm sure some still have a little bit of wit, but you're not performing to like the most mentally capable. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know,
Don't
man.
make me sound like an asshole. It's an old folks home. These are people on their way out. These are like newborn babies, but on the other side.
What's an audience that isn't a stand-up audience that's still the same?
Do you believe that? If I did an hour to a bunch of people, like I would hope, now that I'm looking at the older people in my life, like they're perverts, they'd have a good time, I think. But like, man, it's very intuitive of her, but that's crazy behavior. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, does she get permission? Does she just show up? This is all wild.
It's non-consensual.
That has to be consensual. No, unless she works there, and then she at the end of the shift is like, "Hey guys."
Do you think there's a lot of teachers who are just like practicing their stand-up set?
I don't think teachers do stand up.
People at their
I think they
jobs who are
worry.
just like, I have an audience, now I'm gonna practice.
The thing with stand up that's extremely weird is that like a lot of people think that their opinions and views are gonna get them shunned by society. Like comedy isn't. I'm not trying to put anyone down, and sex work makes the world go round. But a lot of people and professionals treat comedy like OnlyFans, where we're just naked on the fucking stage, just being, but like we're not. We're just bearing our souls.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're like, how many teachers, I guarantee there's a lot of people in the real world that have a comedy set and make jokes and want to do it. But the amount of people that actually get on stage isn't going to be as high. I don't even know off the top of my head any teachers that do stand up. You know, like maybe Tamara.
Is Tamara a teacher?
Again, I think so, but I don't want to rat her out if she I don't know.
Shit.
But like maybe like I honestly off the top of my head I don't. Like I know people that maybe help with languages and stuff, and that's a teacher.
Yeah, but like an actual classroom.
How long have you been?
Okay, so when
for?
I did a comedy class, my teacher was Joel Buxton.
That's
and
different.
he was an English teacher.
That's hilarious.
Who left to do
Yeah, I
this.
know who Joel Buxton is. When did you do your comedy class?
That was the beginning of 2023.
Oh wow.
At Second City, that's how I got into it.
Nice.
And I love Joel. Like,
Yeah.
especially, I did the first stand-up one and stand-up 2, and like he killed stand-up 1. Like, just I don't know, like the writing instructions, the explanations, just like getting me going writing.
It made sense.
Yeah, it was so good.
And it all made sense.
And even like the second one too, I guess, like because we were watching different people's stories and then having discussions around like story structure, and it was very illuminating because I think some people do stuff but they have no idea about the technique behind it, and they can tell you stories from their journey, but
there's no
it's more like
behind
life lessons.
That's hilarious.
Whereas he's like a fucking writer and he knows how to teach it.
Well, like you said, he's also an English teacher. So
Yeah.
to have those two skills, like I have a comedy club, but I'm a salesman, right? So it's like some things just make more sense as time goes on.
Do you think like that's your role, like with you and Ariel? Like, are you the salesman and he's something else?
No, we're both the salesman, but it's like, look at us like a restaurant, okay? I'm like front of the house, he's like back of the house. He's the one, like any graphic you've ever seen, the website, the visions for the sketches, like not necessarily the written sketches, although the majority are him, you know, and more and so of like the call to action at the end, or you know what I mean when I say call to action, like the poster that shows up at the end, or like the structure behind it all, or like the way the club looks, the walls, the new tables, like this is all Ariel's vision. So for me, it's like I'm the guy who's like serving the food, you know, he's my chef. He created this beautiful thing where it's like I'm now there to be like, oh, table for 6, like we coincide, but we're both sales all day. We're sales. He comes from a background at Yucks. That's what he did. So he's like, he books parties, he books corporate, like he does.
Sorry, a background at
Yucks.
Like he worked for
selling comics, I guess, or the other side of it.
Prostituting comics.
Well, I don't know if that's the word, but yeah. comics getting paid for game, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then with me, it's like I worked at a Yucks myself in Hamilton, but I was more of like a sound guy, seating people, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It's cool. It was like we found each other, but yeah, that's the whole. You can't.
Where
really
did you meet him?
The crazy story. Said it so many times, and I actually hate saying the story so much. I understand now why people say this to you. I want people to hear it. I just hate telling the story. I used to run a show. My Sunday night show, Weirdo Carnival.
No.
Okay, so I do a Sunday night show, 10 o'clock. It's going to be an industry night show now, but it's the Weirdo Carnival every Sunday at Backroom Comedy Club. But before that, I've had this show since like year 2 in comedy. Mm-hmm. So I've had this show for like 10 years, and it's been in Niagara Falls. It's been in Brantford. It's been like Hamilton, and it was at Vapor Lounges before the club. Okay. So there's a Vapor Lounge in Brantford, and Ariel came, and I was sold out. It's the first time he was coming, because the headliner at the time and him were boys, and the headliner was like, "Let me bring my friend."
Yeah.
So he went on stage, and he got a standing ovation from 60 people in a weed room.
Amazing.
You ever done a weed room? They're like, they don't laugh.
Yeah.
Ariel got a standing ovation from
in
60
a fucking
people
weed room.
In a weed room. And we hit it off right after that. Before any of the trauma bonding.
Yeah.
It started right there.
You just saw him kill, and you were like, I like
kill.
This guy.
Just like it was like one of those things where like I've never seen, I don't even know today if I've ever seen anyone get a standing, like on TV, but on live. Like not even, I felt bad for his friend because his friend had to close the show.
Oh shit.
And like
shit. That's actually terrible.
Yeah. But at that moment in time, it was just like, I never saw that. Like you only hear about a standing ovation or like comedy or like, yeah, your friends will support you or like an album, but like strangers in Brantford at a weed room and Ariel's getting a standing ovation. So like, I was impressed.
Yeah.
You know? I can even tell you what he did. That's how impressed I was.
What did he do?
Well, what happened was there was 3 people. There was like a girl, her best friend, and this guy, and he was like dating one of them. But like by their body movements and how they were acting, Ariel just knew that the guy was cheating on his girl with his with her best friend.
Oh my god!
And he said something where she was just being really annoying or said something, and then finally, and it tied it back to his whole set where he's like, "That's why you're a single mom." Like he just like she said something and he could tell you the setup, but he just laid it. Like, I'm sorry I'm not doing it but just hit it. And she was just like, and then like ran off crying, and then she looks at her friend and her boyfriend, and then her friend like got up to go save her, and then after her friend got up to save her, then the boyfriend got up. So it was like we were already loving the joke in the moment we were in, but then the tag where it was clear that they were like, that he was cheating on her with her best. Like it was, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That moment in time where like there's a little bow or like, but it was also like a crowd work riff. So it wasn't even like someone went and technically wrote this. It was like something you could only see.
It was
then.
like,
it was wild.
It was a one time only in that moment.
And it started this whole journey.
Shit. Magic.
Mm-hmm. And then, not talking to the mic. And then I moved to Toronto right before COVID. Right before the Raps won.
Okay, so you know how you said though, like you used to think it was fate, but then you realized it's just trauma bonding. But like, is it fate that he would do so well in front of you that night that you would be drawn immediately to him, and then later find out that you have all these deep-seated?
Well, that's the whole point of life, where like you want to obviously believe it's not trauma bonding, and like they don't even say fate's real. They say coincidence is real or whatever. There's something like fate's man-made. Coincidence is like the magic. But it's just like, again, are those 3 things a coincidence about us, or is that trauma bonding? And then I saw him murder, but I saw him murder over trauma, and then we all bonded over it. And it's just like, at the end of the day, I like to believe that I'm not such a skeptic. That's his job. Where it's like the screenwriting. I couldn't write something as good as real life.
Oh no!
Like it just wouldn't happen. You just like, there's some things in life, and like I'm not going to go over any of them right now just because for other people, but like there's just some coincidences in my life that are just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I kind of just like am recently more into like fate and magic, and I just think even though it's good to like understand psychology and know things and learn about yourself and get better, it's like people are so into that now that it's like pissing me off. Because I'm like, well, some things are magic.
Well, that's the craziest part. We don't know what's real. Like over COVID, they told us aliens exist, and like, and then no one cared, and they told us about like all this shit being real, and we all just brazed it over because we weren't. I don't know what happened. All I know is that I've always believed in this stuff. Like, my girlfriend's from Newfoundland. You know, she's a little. I'm not gonna call her out on her shit. And we're like, she's magical. When she's mad, crazy shit happens too. You know, I think I have a little bit. Me and Ardo together are like our co-op kid turned employee, Tyler.
Yeah.
He's got some magic. That kid. You've been to one of his shows, sold it out. Like, you know,
Yeah.
there's magic at play there.
Yeah.
I've met the kid. You talk to, like, I don't know. Even now, it's like. I don't know if it's delusion. I don't know if it's that we want something, but like you can't ignore a positive attitude and giving it your all and being open to magic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because then it works, and then you're like, oh, look at that. And it's not. I don't know. It's that time of year too. It's the Jewish Yom Kippur.
Can you explain Yom Kippur to me?
I can try, but I'm probably wrong. I think it's that we apologize for everything we've done bad, and we try to make up for it, which is a weird conversation to have on what more Palestinians probably are going to watch this than Jews, but crazy.
Shout out Palestinians.
Shout out all of it. Yeah, shout out or what's left of it. Jesus Christ. I don't even have, the crazy part about me is like I'm not anti Palestine and I'm not anti-Israel. I'm just anti all, like I'm not there. I think it's like this is so crazy. This is where we're at, and I'm kind of
sorry.
No, I'm not going to not take, like, you can do what you want with it, but we're in a weird place where it's like, if you're super passionate and you're super, like, angry about it, like, go do something about it. Like, get on a plane. You know, I have a cousin that, like, got on a plane and he's in Israel because he feels more comfortable there than here, which is a wild sentence. But
yeah.
Like, he did that. And then it's just, like, I honestly think that it's, like, people, whatever happened back in the day, I don't think that when the powers that be gave the Jews Israel, they ever gave the Middle East and the people there enough credit to ever be civilized enough to like be mad. And if they did realize it, they realized that the deflection was on the Jews and not them. Like the Jews didn't one day just pack up and they're like, this is our land now. They were given land. And I know I'm not the most educated person to talk about this. I know what my face looks like this, so I have to have an opinion, you know? But like that's my opinion, where it's just like, I don't think that whoever gave Jews this land was thinking long term. And if they were just going to throw the Jews under the bus.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's like, it's always been cool to not like Jews. Like we opened the club and it was like, shit, Jews are in. Seinfeld is the highest streaming thing on Netflix. People love Jonah Hill. And then now this war happened. And it's just like, honestly, I get it. I understand innocent people are dying. I'm not fucking ignorant. I'm just saying that like, I'm Canadian. I've never really had to be in a situation where I had to fight for anything. And I do know that like, no one I know is just like it's just weird how people are like cool with other people dying. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's
like whatever side you pick, you're picking pro-death. That's how I feel. If you pick a side, you're just like, oh, well, that country doesn't matter, and it's like that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like
it's hard for me because like I feel like we can't get past ethno-states because people don't like have a bigger vision of the world. So then people need that ethnic state to protect themselves.
Well, for sure.
And then it's like, how do you talk about the world? Do you talk about the world that is or the world that could be? Because a lot of the Middle East is like in its kind of like the worst state it could be in, because you've had all this like fake borders and persecuted people and everyone's
it's crazy.
Hostile. So then it's like, how do you talk about it? Because
well, that's the thing, and it's crazy now with comedy. Like, hopefully, I'll be fix it up or like get my shit together to be comfortable making jokes about it. But right now, it's still super fresh. I'm not gonna say too soon, but it's just like it's honestly like I don't like the whole term anti-Semite. Isn't that you're anti-Jew? It's that you're anti that whole region.
Yeah.
So it's like we're a region, like we look like if I had brown contact lenses in and a tan and said Habibi, would you think like
and like I definitely have Arab friends and Turkish friends and Palestinian friends who look Jewish
and vice versa.
And then you have Jewish friends where you always think they're Arab and they have to remind you.
They don't have to. It's just that's kind of sad that we don't ever like as a Jewish guy, like it's kind of sad we don't ever get to explore that side of it, where it's like we are all the Middle East, and if we like it or not, we're all very similar. We all eat the same food. We all look alike. You know, so it's just like, it sucks what's happening right now. You know, it sucks what's happening in Russia and the Ukraine right now. It sucks what I hear, if this is true or not, about China and India. You know, it's a really bad world we live in right now.
What's up with China?
I'm not the source that you asked. I would not be the guy. But it's just like, it's like honestly crazy. Like Diddy, you know, like he literally, and I'm not going to try to run bits on your podcast, but like he literally took the best of all the other bad people and like sampled their stuff and made like a mix. Like it's a weird world, you know? And it's weird that like, I'm not going to call you out on age because you don't do that with women, but like we were there when Diddy was just like with Biggie making a song like that we all listened to, you know? And it was like all these people that are all, it's just like, this is the worst the world's ever been. And then instead of people actually going to actually do something about it or be passionate, they're going to see something I said right now on a screen and get mad that it wasn't linked up sound wise or that I'm an ignorant asshole. Where it's like, the world's not great.
The thing is, like, I actually think the world, I know we've dipped since COVID and we're in a rut, but I kind of, and a lot of places are volatile, but I think the world's the best it's ever going to be, or the best it's been so far. And here's one of my arguments. Israel-Palestine, I think it's going to cause it is causing a lot of Muslim women throughout the world to get into politics.
That's cool.
Which is like something they're not doing back home. And it's part of what the Middle East struggles with is no women in public life.
Crazy? It's crazy how like, you'll see I don't want to say sluts for Palestine because that's just me shitting on everything.
Yeah.
But you'll see like queers for Palestine and gays for Palestine. And you'll see all these people that like, if Hamas was ruling or all these leaders were ruling, it wouldn't be that. Like Israel's actually pro like women dressing what they want and being free. It's just, it's crazy the things that push society forward. Like we're like, this is motivating women. It's like, shouldn't women have been motivated when they weren't allowed to show more than their fucking eyes? Wouldn't that have been enough motivation? Wouldn't have been enough motivation to like be gay and not be allowed home? Like, why do we have to be the turning point? That's all I'm saying.
No, I get that. And I think like the thing that I'm afraid of is like, if Hamas forms a government, it'll just be Iran where like everybody leaves the country constantly because fundamentalists aren't really good at running a country.
They apparently killed the leader of Hamas. You know how I know that? And this is so insensitive, but we're on a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
My family, for the first time in a while, sent me Jews killing other people. So, yeah, that's how in the group chat. It wasn't just Israel being attacked this time. It was like, oh, look, Israel attacked.
Yeah.
So it must be a big one.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it's honestly crazy. But you're right. When it comes to where we're at in society, like for a woman, this would be a good time. Like women couldn't vote back in the day. They couldn't own real estate. Now you're saying like, hey, this might push people forward to get into politics. That's a big deal. But what about technology? What about like, forget even ChatGPT. What about Google, where you can learn anything at any moment? You want to eat something for dinner? You can find out that recipe right now.
Yes.
That mirror trick. It's like the internet's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So because I want to be more positive. What are things right now that you love that are happening?
What are things I like? Well, I don't know. I like how like we brought it up at the beginning of the pod, how Toronto breeds very good stand-up.
Yeah.
You know, like I knew that before I even opened the club. And I like that where it's like, unfortunately we live in a world where people go places and like you get a breakfast sandwich for $18, you know? But like I own a comedy club where for that same 18, you can enjoy an hour and a half show where it's like, there's opportunity here.
Yeah.
I love how, again, I'm from Hamilton. I couldn't have opened a comedy club back home. Or if I did, it's not like, sorry, I'm burpy. The hangover thing. But like, you know what I'm saying? It's like living in Toronto is so cool. Or like anything I can eat.
Yeah.
Like the whole week I've eaten just delicious after delicious. 2 weeks, I think. I've just been going strong. All of October, just delicious meal after delicious meal.
I've been obsessed with Japanese food lately.
What do you get?
Okay, so there's like a veggie ramen place like near my work, and then also sushi.
I love sushi. I love ramen too. It's almost ramen weather. Very soon. And then sushi, I'm a big sashimi fan. That's my shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like my favorite.
What have you been eating a lot of lately?
Oh man, this has been a crazy week. Okay, so it all started for my girlfriend's birthday. We went to Red Lobster.
Nice.
And then it just went downhill from there, where it was like, or uphill, where it was like the day after was a family Passover dinner. So it was like brisket and like, or it was Rosh Hashanah. It was like brisket and like homemade chicken cutlet and just such good food. And then it turned into like my grandfather's 102nd birthday, which was like all I could eat pasta and an appetizer and pizza and then steak and fry. It was just so much food. And then I just keep going. Yesterday I had Cumbre, is that the deli? But I had one of their deli sandwiches. Today I went to, you know how close you live to Black Camel? I don't know
what Cumbre is.
You go to Black Camel, I assume. This should be sponsored by Black Camel.
I do go there.
It's the best. You know how excited I was? So that's wild. I understand your choice. I'm sure you're healthier and happier. Oh, That place is delicious.
Yeah.
I had to, as soon as I saw where you lived, I was like, oh, I'm leaving half hour early to get this sandwich. I'm leaving an hour early to get a haircut and a sandwich before I go see Karen.
Nice.
Yeah. So what do you get at Black Camel if you don't get?
They have a veggie sandwich.
Eggplant? I bet it's good.
It's delicious.
I'm not brilliant. I just was right there like half hour ago. Yeah, I bet it's delicious. I get their roasted red pepper on anything I order, and their mushrooms. So I bet they're veggie. So you eat fish, but you don't eat?
Yeah, like I eat predominantly like pure vegetarian, but
pescatarian. Yeah. Do you eat eggs?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Pescatarian.
Pescatarian.
Yeah.
Nice. I tried that for a little. I have stomach problems, as you know, as I bail on the podcast a lot, and I find that's why I got into weed so hard, was for the stomach. But I also find that, like, I don't know, I don't eat red meat all the time.
Do you get massages?
I don't.
I think
where is this
that
going,
massage will help your stomach.
For sure.
Because there was a point during COVID when I thought I had COVID because I had such bad digestion, and they were saying like diarrhea was a symptom, and I was like, maybe I just have permanent IBS. And then as things opened up, I got a massage and everything was fine.
I also, because of the car accident, my pelvis was all fucked up. So I do believe after this talk and sitting on this delightful chair,
is it ruining your
like this
body?
In my back? No, but I'm understanding that you might be right. I might just be like, backed up isn't the right word, but like tightened. Because even my body posture right now, I feel like.
Yeah, but I think it's also like massage gets to like your like nervous system in a way that nothing else can. Than like, I guess, hard drugs.
Oh, good to know. Maybe I'll get into hard drugs and massage. Man, what a business plan.
I think the massage is a hard drug.
Well, it's because it's the release. It's the dope. I think stand-up's a hard drug.
Oh, yeah.
When you get that laugh,
it's
nothing
crazy.
Nothing has ever felt like that in my entire life.
I love like the being on stage, but also like walking home at night after a good set is like one of my favorite things.
But then you have to remember the balance of like those, like the bomb, like for all those, like, it's like, oh shit. What am I doing? The worst was I once when I first started, I was getting on at Yuck Yucks all the time, and I would come from Hamilton to Toronto. And I would like do well. And the biggest realization was like 8 months into comedy. And the last like 6 months of the 8, I did Yuck Yucks. I just had a great set. Like Ryan, whatever, someone said they were going to talk to someone for me. And when I left, it like hit. And people were like, good set. I was like, oh, I have to walk to the bus station. And it was just like, this is as good as it gets. Like, it was like, this doesn't feel great. You know, like it was like, I just did well at Yuck Yucks. I wanted this, whatever was going to happen. But like walking to the bus and then like waiting for the bus and then like seeing people and their families, or like it was just like a Tuesday at like 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and just, you know what I'm saying? It's all just like the people. I started comedy late. I started at like 27.
Yeah.
So it's like there's that like that revelation you have where it's just like, oh, this is the life. Like for this to work, I'm not gonna like be in bed 9 o'clock. I'm not gonna like, I might start a family, but it's not like, it's like a girlfriend and a cat, you know? Maybe adopt later if things go well, but like not. It's just a different way to think, where it's like, that's all. It's not a bad way to think, but it was just that revelation where I was like, oh, my life's not normal.
Yeah, you have to pay for it with like the lifestyle.
Like the lifestyle, the laughs. Like people are mad, why don't I get paid? Why don't I get paid? It's like, because you get paid in laughs. You know, like that's what as soon as you get that laugh, that's the payment. And then if you're not getting the laughs and it doesn't feel like that, then you're in the wrong. Yeah. Because it's like, I'm not saying that no one gets paid ever. I'm just saying that like.
Well, anyone who gets there usually spend a lot of years
perfecting the 10,000 hour rule.
So you have to have fun in those years or you're not going to keep going.
Imagine gathering 10,000 hours at 5-minute intervals, because that's what we're doing. Shit. You have to do like 2,000 sets to do 10,000 hours on stage.
Shit.
Yeah, we say 1,200 just because we're including some of the writing or some of the, you know?
Yeah.
But like, it's crazy. I guess we do the 1,200 because like, you eventually get 7-minute sets. Yeah. Not that any of it actually matters.
Although the one thing, like, I also got into comedy late, and I think it's like doing anything late. It's like you're still going to be alive, so you got to do something. Like you should do something you like doing.
Well, yeah, that's why we do it. How many people our age do we see there? I'm not saying we don't see some, but like, it's usually all just like 25 and under. Yeah. Or like.
I feel like 25 to 35 is a big range in comedy.
Totally, but that's
And then you either make it or you go have kids.
make it's a stretch. Make it's a very interesting word. And then kids is a part of it. A lot of successful people have kids.
Yeah.
Especially comedians. Louis C.K.'s comedy got really, really good when he called his kids assholes. That's what was the turning point. I think some of Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura's fan base is because they also have kids.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a shortage of that in comedy. People want to relate to it. So
Yeah,
you want it. Most people have kids. So they want a comedian who
also has kids.
Yeah.
Which again, it's like you wonder sometimes in that picking that lifestyle where it's like, oh, is that going to jeopardize me? But I don't know. I'm the fun uncle. I don't have a kid, but like, I'm sure you have a family member like me.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, sure you got, I'm not even going to say loser, but like, I spent more time on pot and being fun and in silly land or which silly state. It's like, I can't believe I even found comedy. Because like, if I didn't find comedy, I'd be a lot more scared than with, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're not the norm where we're just like, again, we meet a lot of kids that like, I started at 27. The majority of people I see regularly aren't even 27 yet. You know how crazy that is?
That is pretty
And
crazy.
they all have like 6 years experience. It's like,
Yeah.
like it's crazy. It's crazy that these kids are like, it's wild. And then
I think Eddie Murphy, when he did Delirious, was 22 or 23. But
it's different.
We don't want to focus on that.
No, that's how you look at it. It's like when I was 22, 23, I was focusing on other things. It's like, I'm not mad at this journey because comedy is one of those things that like could potentially take off later.
Yeah.
But it's like the goats were always the goats. You know, like look at Robert Cackham, you know, started at 15. He's 23 now.
Yeah.
So it's like, this wasn't an accident. And then did you watch that? There's on Netflix. It's Kevin Hart and Eddie Murphy, like the headliners.
Yeah.
They talk about how there's this like sweet age group of like between 21 and 23, kids will figure it out. So if you're like a comedian kid and you start at like young,
Yeah.
by the time you're 21 to 23, it'll make sense. And then us, we're just luxury that like we're funny out the gate. You know, we don't have to like, yeah, we still have to figure our shit out. But when you're an adult doing comedy, you like know yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like I know if something makes me laugh in the real world, that's a joke. I know if I go on stage and I tell it, if not everyone laughs, that's okay. You know, the goal is to get everyone to laugh over time. Where it's just like, if I was a kid doing this, that's insane too.
I also think comedy is a lot about like failure and like your emotional reaction to it, and then it becomes cathartic by sharing that. And like when you're middle age, it's like you've failed a lot and you have perspective on it in a way like
The kids
you
won't
just
have yet.
couldn't have when you were young.
That's why comedy's so wild. Because like you need that life experience. And then you see these kids that could be very good, but they don't have. It's like, it's a weird.
But there's like a way you can do comedy. Like Taylor Tomlinson is like a kid. She's hilarious, but then she'll also probably do an album at 40 that's like gonna be like a game changer to what she did before.
Right? Like she's been doing comedy forever. So it's like, and she has that whole Christian thing, or the whole wasn't she like a Bible kid?
What? That might be. I don't know her story.
Oh, okay, well, I'm pretty sure. Like again, the whole thing with it's like anytime you see someone who's made it to that next level, it's like, yeah, they're good at comedy, but there's also something else. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like if you look at Burt Kreischer, not only is but like he's a family man, he's a party animal. You look at like who's just here, Sean Gillis. Sean Gillis. He's like, I don't know. They all have their like fan base. They all have their like legions of people that are willing to come see them.
Yeah.
And the older you get, you're either saying wild shit that's relating to people, or like, I don't know. I honestly don't have the answers. I opened a comedy club. I wish I honestly don't know. Maybe that's the point too, to not know. I'm understanding like yesterday, although I drank for the first time in a while hard, had a lot of fun last night. Like the vibe at the club was a lot of fun.
So when you were drinking yesterday, it was because you were testing a new booze.
I tested a new product. It was a Long Island iced tea, 13%. And so me and a coworker split it.
Yeah.
And I don't just like taste things. I'm like an animal. So like I just pound it back. I don't know. Maybe last night was the last time I do that.
Did you like it, and will it be at the club?
It's at the club. It's already stocked and ready to go. I
Okay.
loved it. But the buzz I haven't felt a buzz like that in so long. And it was the first time I felt a buzz like that where I didn't need drugs to balance it out. I could just fucking enjoy the buzz. So then I had this thing I tried to make. A couple of weeks ago, I took tequila and I took pickle juice and I put it together.
What?
And then I let it sit because what happens is the pickle juice breaks down the alcohol. or vice versa, the alcohol, whatever. So I let it be. And then everyone at the club was like, no, you can't serve this. So I was like, fine, I'm giving out free shots of pickled tequila to the comics. And I got lit.
Was it good?
I think so, but I like pickle juice.
Yeah.
If you don't like pickle juice and you don't like tequila, that's not a delicious shot.
Okay.
Think of how many people hate both of those things.
Yeah.
So it's going to be initially a gross thought. But it was cold. It went down, but it's gone. That won't be at the club. The Long Island iced tea will be.
Okay.
The pickle tequila.
You have to make your own tequila and pickle juice at home.
I actually recommend don't. Because like last night I went to the washroom and I like sneezed and like, I was drunk where I like vomit sneezed. And I got a little smell of like, and I was like, never again. Never again.
Never again. Okay. Amazing.
But then I also was fortunate that we have other shooters. I got drunk. I got some Burt Reynolds last night. I had a lemon drop or two.
What's a Burt Reynolds?
It's spiced rum and butterscotch. Yeah, it's delicious.
Oh my God.
You don't drink.
If I ever fall off the wagon, that's what I want.
You weren't even on the wagon. You sound like you may have liked acid and then you're just like, okay, I'm cool.
No, I went to rehab 8 years ago.
For what?
Alcoholism.
Between someone who drinks occasionally, not missing much. And alcoholism's a weird one because like we were talking about this today where it's like that not fake, but that confidence I had to have that confidence all the time and like know that it's the alcohol doing it. That's like, I know I'm a pothead. I smoke my cigarettes, a little bit of a lunatic.
Yeah.
If you're an alcoholic and I'm not hating, that's a wild one to pick. That one's crazy. If that's the addiction you pick. It's just so crazy to have to feel like that. And then like when it's out of your system, you have to like restart your system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's
like with joy,
it's too
like,
much.
It hurts. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how you can like drink. It's the same thing I never got with people really into drugs where like I dabble, but I like sleep. So like 3 a.m, 4 a.m, I'll watch a sunrise here and there, but like I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm not up for 4 days. I'm not up for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like what? How are you up for 2 weeks? How are you up for 2 weeks and believing the shit that you're seeing and hearing? You know?
Yeah. It's
crazy.
It's insane. All right. I want to plug my show one more time.
Well, I want to, before you do, I'm proud of you for not drinking.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we're doing a show on November 14th. It's a sober show. I didn't know you didn't drink, but I'll talk to Ariel and I'm going to get you some 5 minutes. Okay.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
I didn't know. Yeah. It's going to hopefully be a monthly thing.
Yeah. That sounds incredible.
The Dry Show, November 14th. Yeah.
Okay. And that's at Backroom.
Backroom Comedy Club.
Also, importantly, the fourth Monday of every month, Funny Bitches with Karen Mitches.
Such a good name. Bitches of all genders welcome.
Yes. Yes.
Honestly, I remember when we started talking about the show and when the name came about, I was just so, people were like, why are you so giggly? I'm like, because it's very funny. So, you know, it's just a very funny.
Sweet.
To make a full circle, and I guess I'll go to work, that's what they meant by writing like rap lyrics.
I like it. That's awesome.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.